So can someone tell me what did we study in our previous lab? What experiment did we look into?
We did full array using structures like behavior model, data flow method, and structure method.
Very good. So we had seen the full adder, right? And we had
Yes.
seen the structural way of writing it. And basically there were three types of modeling, if you can recall, right? Behavioral, structural, and which was the other one?
Data flow.
Data flow, right? So each programming style had its own way of coding, right? So we have seen all of that. And structural flow is like, you have a circuit diagram and then you write a code for that, right? And then you have this behavioral model where you actually make use of the truth table, and you have this data flow wherein directly you give in your equations, isn't it? So these were the three major types of programming styles we looked into for full adder, right? So today we'll be looking into the next program, which is dealing with ALU. Can someone tell me what is an ALU? What is an ALU?
Arithmetic logic unit.
Yes, so it can perform both arithmetic operations as well as logical operations. So what are these arithmetic operations? It can be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? And your logical operations can be all the logics, the digital logics that you have learned so far. It can be AND or NOT, NAND, XOR, XNOR, right? So all these can be done in ALU, via ALU, right? So the best way to implement this, okay, is it going to be the data flow model, or is it going to be the behavioral model, or is it going to be the structural model? Which do you think will be better for implementing ALU?
Structural model.
Structural model will be a little more complicated, okay, and data flow also can be used, okay. So we will be using the equation directly, okay. So you can see that a minus b, not of a and b, right? So all this, so which means we are trying to give a condition and accordingly it's going to work, okay. Fine. So we will just look into it, having both VHDL and Verilog program. So your aim is to write a model for 16-bit ALU using 4-bit opcodes. So opcodes are something like a command. Okay. Now, just like you select a channel number, okay, on your television remote. So what happens? It goes to a specific channel, right? Because it is programmed in such a way by your operator, right? So if I give that number and I expect some other channel, will that occur, or will I be able to see another channel? I don't think so, right? So which means everything is programmed, okay. So here we have to think of these kind of codes called opcodes. So if I give 000, then it should probably do addition operation. If I give say 0001, okay, then it should do subtraction operation. So this is called opcodes, right? So the functions can be defined for chosen opcodes. So as usual, we'll be using Xilinx simulator, not necessarily 12.1, but more advanced also should be fine. The component that performs arithmetic and logical operations is known as ALU. It is the most important component in a microprocessor. An ALU should be able to perform functions like these, which I've listed out. So you can see that, you have logical function, okay, arithmetic add function, arithmetic subtract function, etc. Right? So it's not just limited to these functionalities. Now, first, let us look into VHDL programming, and then we will concentrate on the Verilog part. So initially, we'll be giving the declarations, right? Just like how you write your C program, right? Hash include stdio.h, right? The header file you're including, and stdio standard input output, right? So similarly here, you are calling for library, and you're using these IEEE standard libraries. Okay. And here you should observe you are using an arithmetic library. Why we are using arithmetic library? Because we are going to use add, subtract, right? So all those symbols we will be using. And yeah, so let's get started. As you all know, your programming, okay, will your VHDL program is consisting of entity and architecture, right? So I think by now you all know the template of that, isn't it? So it is entity name is, right? So here my entity name that I'm going to give is ALU16, so that I match up to the question which is given ALU, which is 16-bit, so that I wouldn't have any confusion. And then I declare the ports. Okay, so I'm going to say A and B are going to be my standard inputs. Okay, and these are not just going to be 1 bit, but then it's going to be a vector. So what do you mean by a vector? I think by now you all would have studied in your theory classes, right? What's a logic vector? Yes, what's a logic vector? Yeah, what's a logic vector? So if we are going to use, A1, A2, A3, so A1, A0, A0, A1, A2, A3. So these are called vectors. So I'm not just using A and B, right? So this will be useful for us, 15 down to 0, which means A0 to A15. So this is going to give me 16 bits. So similarly, B also with the same manner. Then I have something called enable. Okay, so if the enable goes high, then only it's going to accept inputs, and then the ALU is going to perform its operation. And then these are your opcodes. Okay, so this is also going to be your input, and it's going to be a standard logic vector 3 down to 0. So which means I'm going to use 4 bits. Then ALU, okay, which is output bit, and this is also from 0 to 31, which means 32 bits. So I'm going to take a worst case because I'm having two 16 bits, A and B, isn't it? So A and B are two 16 bits. So as worst case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 32-bit vector, right? And ALU, or you can even write end entity, right? Either of the one you can use. Instead of ALU16, you can even write end entity. Then starts your architecture, body of the architecture. So architecture, and this is the architecture name of entity name is begin, right? So this is the template. So we are going to use something called process statements. Okay, so using process statements, it becomes very easy for us to implement the code here. So the sensitivity list, okay, that is going to be inside processes A, B, enable, opcode. So whenever there is any change in these, okay, immediately the code should be sensitive to that, and immediately execution should happen. Okay, So we are using two temporary variables called T1 and T2. Okay, just like how we use registers, right? Before moving the data to some other location, first I will move it to register, and then from register I will move to another location. So you can think of this as, you know, a temporary place where data is being transferred. So what I'm doing here is T1 and T2. Okay, when others, okay, when others, I'm going to give 0, which means whatever value is here. Okay, so I'll be assigning for T1 as A. Okay, so this is going to be 16-bit, and T2 has B. Okay, so values will be given based on these, but I'll be addressing A and B, but internally it is T1 and T2. Okay, so internally it is T1 and T2. So if enable is equal to 1, so if I enable the circuit, okay, then so I'm using a case statement now. Always remember process and case. Okay, process and case are associated with each other, right? So I'm going to use the case, and the sensitivity list here is opcode. Okay, so which means whatever case that I am giving is referring to opcodes. Okay, so when it is 0001, okay, then what is happening? The value of T1 and T2 are both added and given to ALU. So which means addition operation is happening with T1 and T2. Okay, and the final value is sitting in ALU. So what is ALU here? It is about 32-bit. Right? So where was it mentioned? Yeah, here. Okay. And then next, so similarly 1, okay, 2. So now I'll be needing, you know, 15 down to 0. Okay, and A minus B. So whatever value, say I give A as 2 and B as 1, so A minus B, right? So I should be getting 1. So that value should come and sit in ALU. If I give this code, okay, if I give 0010, so it is just like a code, a channel number, right? So if I give this code, you know, 0010, then it should be a subtraction operation. Okay, if I give 0001, then it should be an addition operation. So this is like, you know, a channel number. It is telling us what program is actually happening with this code, and this is referring to the opcode, right? Next, when I say 0100, then it's going to be a multiplication. So generally, right, during multiplication, that's when, you know, we need you know, a larger space. So we are going to use, you know, or we are going to multiply bit by bit. So I think you know how this multiplication operation happens. Have you all studied this in your theory, multiplication? How bitwise multiplication happens? Yes, have you studied? Okay. So it's going to be a bitwise multiplication, just like how you add bitwise, right? Similarly, a bitwise ANDing operation will happen. Okay, fine. Multiplication will happen, right? So whatever values, they're not ANDing, multiplication operation. Next, here is the ANDing operation, okay, which is the logical AND that we are talking about. And the values, okay, whatever values that you give for A and B, okay, will be you know, destined at ALU. Okay, similarly NAND, XOR. So you can write your own code. Okay, you can still further continue this, okay, with 1001, and you can write something else, okay, if you want. You know, for example, NOR is left out here, right? So these are just, you know, some template codes, okay, which you can understand and you can see how it works. And based on the question in your examination, right, so these can be altered or these can be written. Say for example, we would give probably, you know, ALU which performs logical operation. So in that case, you don't have to show the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and all those, you can just probably start with here and end it, right? And if we say universal and logical, basic logical gates, then you can include all of them. So in that case, then you will have to include the NOR gate also here. Okay, so VHDL is very simple. You just write NOR, that's it. Okay, and then it accepts, provided the syntax is proper. Okay, VHDL requires that the syntax is proper. Okay, because this was developed by the military, the US defense military, right? So they had made it very strict, and you can see there are extensive cases. Okay, for everything there is a syntax, a lot of rules to be followed for each and every case, right? So that's the vastness of VHDL. And what happened was, due to this extensive rules and extensive parameters, extensive syntaxes, so industry people, they thought they will come up with some other code, and that was called Verilog, right? So if you can see, Verilog is very much more flexible compared to VHDL. Okay, so apart from this cases, okay, mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Apart from this cases, if anything else is given to the opcode, okay, if anything else, then it should return a null value. Okay, so I have started the case here, so I have to end case. Okay, so this case is over. Now else ALU. So what is this referring to? Else is referring to if. Okay, so if else, so if enable is equal to 1, then all these operations will happen. If the enable is not equal to 1, okay, then the remaining operations would happen. Okay, so you can just think of when enable is equal to 1, then all these operations would happen. Okay, if the enable is not equal to 1, okay, so that's when this case comes in. When it's not equal to 1, then it gives you a high impedance, which is Z. So you will be seeing a red line, okay, red line in your simulation output. So if in case the enable is not given as 1, so I have started the if here, so I'll be ending if, and you can see that we had started the process above, so we will end the process, and this is end A1, or you can just simply write it as end architecture. So anything holds good, either if you write the name of the architecture, right? So you can see the name of your architecture was A1, so either you can write end A1 or you can write end architecture. Anything should be fine. Okay. Right. So now the test bench for this. Test bench is given so that we will have all the cases. Okay, so I just give a value. Okay, is assigned to some value, and B is also given some value. So after some 100 nanoseconds, okay, then all this will start executing. So here you can see we have given all the cases, right? So enable is equal to 1, okay, and your opcode is 1, and then wait for 100 nanoseconds. So you know that there's a connection happening between your test bench and your main model. So you know that whenever this code is given, 0010 is given, then what is going to happen? Subtraction is going to happen. So these are the test cases. All the test cases are given here. Okay, so after each and every execution, it's going to wait for about 100 nanoseconds, and then the next line is going to get executed, right? So similarly, so on and so forth, right? So this case is taken when enable is equal to 1. I'm not considering for enable 0 because I have already mentioned it in the code here, right? If else, okay, you give a high impedance to ALU output, and then you end if, end process, and see it's all happening in a sequential manner. So case, you end case, okay. If was there, so you have to give another case for if, right? And then you started off with process, right? So you have to end the process because process was inside architecture. So at the end, you're going to close the architecture, right? So try to follow this way of indent. Indent means, the level of spacing, so that you will be able to understand what you have ended. Don't just, put everything in just one line. You will get confused. So always use a tab or a space or something. Tab is better, so that you will be able to differentiate as to what you are closing. See, for example, case is here, and in the same straight line, I am ending case. Okay, you have if enable here, so I am giving another case for if here, right? And then I end my if. Then process. Okay, process started here, and then I'm going to end the process here. So similarly, architecture was starting here, and I'll be using the same level of line. So I hope you are understanding as to what I'm trying to convey, isn't it, students?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So now let's move on to the Verilog part. Okay, now since you have understood the VHDL type of coding, now Verilog is going to be still simpler. Okay, so this is your template as to how you start module name. Okay, we are going to use the same module name, and unlike your VHDL, here we are going to put all those inputs and outputs, right? But then in VHDL separately, I say which are my inputs and which are my outputs, right? And then here separately, I will specify, okay, which is my input. So input is A, B, and this is 15 down to 0 in the language of VHDL. So here it is 15:0. The same nothing happens here. And then input, yeah, my enable is input. Okay, and these opcodes are also input 0, 3:0, which means it's going to be 4 bits, right? And then the output register ALU, okay, so it's going to be 32-bit. Always at, okay, so this is going to be my sensitivity list. So A, B, enable, op, just like how you had used here for your VHDL. Okay, A, B, enable, op, right? So the same concepts are used here. Same parameters are used here. Always at, okay, so whenever I use this at, okay, these things which are inside the parenthesis becomes sensitive. Okay, fine. If enable is equal to 1, tick B 1. So this is referring to, it is a 1 bit, and the type of bit is binary, and the value is 1, right? So I think by now you all know this, isn't it? The case OP, okay, so again we are using case statements here, okay, and we are actually assigning enable to 1. So here also I'm going to use 4 tick B, which means it is 4-bit, and the format is binary, and the value is 0001. Okay, so this is whatever is A and B that is added and given to ALU, right? So similarly, all these operations here, unlike VHDL, you're not writing A and D, okay, you're not writing OR, you're not writing NA and D, but instead you're going to use symbols here, right? So get acquainted with these symbols so that you would not get confused. By default, ALU is going to be 32-bit, and it's going to be 0, okay, by default, without giving any values. So started the case, end, then another case for ALU, 32-bit, binary, okay, and I'm going to give a Z, which is high impedance. Then I end, okay, because I had used a begin here, so I end, module was started here, right? Module ALU, so I'm going to end my module. So remember, end module, you're not going to use a semicolon. For end also, you're not going to use a semicolon, okay? Provided here and all, you're going to use a semicolon, okay? So as and when you program and then you simulate it, you will understand as to what kind of errors that it's going to give, okay, for missing out a semicolon. Say for example, in this line you miss out a semicolon, okay, it will give you error somewhere referring to this line, okay, after this line it will give you error. So try to understand what type of errors it's giving, so that during examinations it's going to be helpful, so that as soon as you see the error line, okay, you'll be able to understand, fine, I've missed out a semicolon. I'm going to put a semicolon. Say, you wouldn't have probably given a parenthesis here, a closing parenthesis. So it will give you an error. So try to make some mistakes. Okay, once your execution is done, okay, try to make some mistakes. Make note of the error lines that throws upon you by the software, right? So similarly, we're going to write a test bench for Verilog here. Okay, so you can see I'm giving a 16 tick. B is referring to binary, and I'm going to give some value, any value of your choice you can give. And similarly here for B also I'm giving a value. Here you're not going to use wait for, unlike VHDL, right? Here we had used wait for and then some value of time. But then here I'm going to use hash 50, which means it's referring to wait for 50 nanoseconds. So you don't have to even specify nanoseconds. So that's the level of comfort that Verilog gives us, right? You don't have to really specify. But then with VHDL, you have to be very specific. You have to say what 100. If I just say 100, it's going to throw up an error. It's going to say what format, right? So all this, people didn't want it, so they immediately came up with some other type of coding which makes their life more simple, right? So all these operations keeps happening after 50 nanoseconds, right? So we had given nanoseconds as the unit of time, right? So how are you going to check your outputs, right? So once you execute, okay, you're going to check. So ALU value will be here. Okay, you can check the ALU's value here, and then A's value will be here, B value will be here. Okay, so you can see that 111 is here and 101 is here. So A and B, so both the values are here, right? I hope you're able to follow. Yes, students, any doubts, please ask me. Okay, so you can see A's value is here, okay, and B's value is here. Similarly, the value corresponding or the waveform corresponding to it is here. This is how you're going to see, and the value corresponding to B is here, right? So enable, yeah, we're going to give us high. So you can see that enable is high throughout, and then you can see that the opcode, whatever you have given, okay, 0101. So whatever is the operation referring to, so it is performed on both A and B, and you can see the final result in ALU, right? So this is how you execute and you check. Similarly, you can generate RTL schematic. Okay, here you have the option when you click on view RTL. So once you double click, as I was mentioning here on view RTL schematic, right? So this is how you're going to get. Now remember, we had A, B opcode and enable as inputs, right? And the output is going to be ALU. So again, if you double click on this, okay, you'll be able to see extensive, setup of the schematic. Similarly, you have tech schematic, which is technology schematic. If you just double click on this also here, okay, you will be able to see another diagram. Okay, so I hope all of you have understood how this ALU program can be executed and how it can be written, the test bench and the main module, and for VHDL and Verilog both. So students, any doubts with this regard? Have you all understood?
Sir,
yeah,
was it required to declare like T1 and T2 in VHDL?
yeah, it is required. See, because we are using it as a temporary variable, okay, as a temporary variable. And what you can also try doing is, okay, what you can also try doing is, instead of giving A, B, you can also try giving T1 minus T2, right? So you can even try that, okay, that's also possible, okay. But here what I'm trying to do is, I'm using it as a temporary variable. I don't know how many of you know of coding with microcontrollers. I think you'll be learning that in your upcoming semesters, right? When I say move, okay, some data, okay, let us say move, move, okay, R2 comma 10, okay, or let us say R2 comma R1, okay. So whatever data is in R1, okay, let's say if R1 had 10, R2 will also have 10, right? So just an example that I'm giving, so which means it is synonymous to A and B. Fine, I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other doubts, students? Okay, so we will start, getting the code executed, and then, if required, then yeah, we can have another session to clarify the doubts. Okay.